Everyone says that you can be anything, but no one tells you the cost of trying to become it. No, we grew up believing potential is freedom, that the more possibility you have, the more alive you feel. But the truth is, potential is prison. The more you could be, the harder it becomes to be anything at all. You overthink, you overplan, you compare, you chase 100 different versions of yourself and wonder why none of them feel real. Okay, you don't need potential. You actually need direction. And direction comes from you trying to find yourself. You need to build yourself through discipline, discomfort, and deep clarity. And that is the paradox of growth. Now, freedom doesn't come from having more choices. It comes from committing to one and becoming great at it. When your mind is aligned with a single purpose, everything else falls into place. Your emotions, your habits, your environment start working for you instead of against you. Now, the execution edge isn't about becoming someone else. It's about mastering the mind that already exists within you and the executing on it until it becomes undeniable. Now, there's what they call the illusion of self. When we cling to old identity, even when we desire change. You say you need change, you read the books, you watch the video, you listen to podcasts that promises transformation, but deep down, something inside of you resists. It's not laziness, it's not the fear of failure, it's identity preservation. Your current self is like an ecosystem, okay? Building from belief, habit, emotion that has kept you safe until this point. It's predictable, it's familiar, even though when this behavior, this habit hurts, at least you know the pain. Change, on the other hand, is a debt. And that's one thing that most people don't know. It's not the physical debt, but the psychological kind. The debt of who you think you are. That's why people cling to their old identity. Because to become someone new, the old one must die. And most aren't ready to bear that version of themselves. So you say you want success, but your identity is still built around struggle. You say you want peace, but your nervous system is still addicted to chaos. You say you want freedom, but your mind still finds safety in familiar cages. And the paradox of transformation is that you can't add new identity atop the old one. You must let go of who you were to create space for who you could be. But letting go means uncertainty, and uncertainty means pain. Instead of evolving, most people decorate their cage with positive quotes and call it growth. True change begins when you realize the version of you that got you here cannot carry you further. Now, the belief that once protected you are now the barrier between you and your next chapter. You are not your story. You are the storyteller, and at any point, at any moment, you can rewrite the plot. So now, let's talk about the psychology of becoming, how the brain and your emotion resist transformation. Your brain loves certainty, okay? It doesn't care if certain things keeps you miserable. It only cares to keep you safe and alive. Your mind is alive and comfortable. Alive and being comfortable is the same thing for your mind. Okay, so the moment you decide to change, to build the business and start the gym routine, or finally speak your truth, your nervous system interprets it as danger. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing a new thing. Every habit you've practiced, every habit you've practiced, every emotional reaction you've repeated have carved a pathway in your brain. These neural grooves, these neural pathways are survival map. It's like this is how we think, this is how we feel, this is how we act when things go wrong. When you introduce a new pattern, a new belief, a new routine, a new self, the old system panic. It's like rewriting software while it's still running. The panic shows up as procrastination, overthinking. It's not failure, it's friction. And this friction is between the version of who you were and who you are trying to become, or that new self that's trying to be born. Your emotions too fight for familiarity. Okay, your body remembers your past better than your mind does. It remembers the adrenaline rush of chaos, the comfort of complaining, the numbness of scrolling. It just believes that that's who you are. So when you try to feel peace or confidence, your body rejects it because peace feels unfamiliar. Okay, unfamiliar feels unsafe. Now, transformation then isn't about forcing yourself into an identity. Okay, it's about teaching your body and mind a new normal won't kill you. And the only way that you can do this is through repetition, not motivation. Okay, repetition requires the nervous system. Motivation just excites it. Okay, consistency is the language that your brain understands. Every small act of alignment, every workout, every hard conversation, every focused hour whisper to your subconscious that we are safe, that we are alive, and this is who we are now. Now, the psychology of becoming is not the battle you win, it's a daily recalibration, okay? A dialogue between who you were and who you are and who you are daring to become. And this is the reason why you find it very easy to scroll where you could possibly be building something, because your old self is used to that scrolling all day. So now let's talk about the cost of staying the same. What stagnation silently steals from you. Because if you don't make this change, unconsciously you are turning into something else. Okay? People fear change because it feels like loss. The mind is clever. It disguises stagnation as stability. It tells you are being patient. It says you are waiting for the right time. It says you are thinking through and through. But in reality, you are decaying in slow motion. Every day you resist to evolve, something inside starts to die. Not your body, not your spirit, but your curiosity begins to fade. Your imagination becomes dull. Your courage weakens. You begin to shrink your dream to fit the comfort zone. And soon, you stop asking what's possible and start asking, is it safe? Can I do this? That's how mediocrity is born. Not from failure, actually, but from delayed execution. Here's the truth that no one's going to tell you. The longer you stay the same, the harder it becomes to change. Every time you repeat an old pattern, you reinforces it. Every time you avoid discomfort, you teach your brain that avoidance equals safety. Every time you silence your intuition, your soul's voice grows weaker, and you know it. The person you were meant to become becomes just another version that you almost lived. Almost. The cost of staying the same isn't time. It is the loss of potential. It is the dull ache of knowing you had more to give, but you didn't. Most people don't burn out from doing much. They burn out from doing too little of what sets the soul on fire. Now, change hurts, no doubt, yes, but stagnation suffocates. It's a slow death disguised as comfort. And one day, you look back and realize that the pain of becoming was far lighter than the pain of never trying. Now, let's talk about the process of reinvention, okay? Because this is the myth of all of this podcast, okay? A practical framework that you can use to evolve your identity in real life. Now, reinvention begins with action. It begins with awareness. You cannot change what you're unwilling to see. And most people never reinvent because they are too busy defending who they currently are. They protect their identity, and instead of redesigning it, the truth is identity isn't fixed. Okay, it's a story you keep repeating until it becomes true. You are the author, the editor, and the protagonist all at once. So if you want a new life, you must start with a new script. Now, let me break this process down to you. Now, the first thing you need to do is awareness. And that is one thing I'm trying to do in this podcast. Letting you aware of the whole idea that you are either not aware of or you're trying to sweep under the carpet. Now, sit with yourself and look at yourself without judgment. Observe your pattern like a scientist, okay? Your thoughts, your triggers, your fears, your habits, and ask yourself, what do I keep doing that keeps me stuck? What emotion drives my decision? Is it fear or clarity? What belief am I loyal to that no longer serves me? Now, awareness isn't comfortable because it exposes the truth, but truth is the foundation of transformation. You can't fix what you are pretending not to be seen. You can't fix what you keep pretending isn't broken. You have to come to the agreement that, I'm broken and I need fixing. Now, the second thing you need to do is detachment. And this is the death of your old self, which is the hardest part I think most people try to fix. Once you see your pattern, once you detach from them, not destroy them, disidentify with them, okay? You are not your anger. You are not your procrastination. You are not your self-doubt. You are the observer of those things. Meditation, journaling, and silence. These are the tools that can help you to watch the chaos without becoming it. When you witness your thoughts, instead of reacting to them, you claim your power over your own programming. So when you're angry, it's not like you are an angry person. You are expressing an emotion of anger. And you are not the anger itself. You are only angry. And that is not your identity. You have to observe your emotions and observe yourself, how you act. When you procrastinate, you observe that version of you, that identity of you that is procrastinating. So this is where you detach yourself from that old self and say, okay, this is not me. This is the new me. The new me do not procrastinate. Now, the third thing that you need to do is to redesign, crafting the future identity. Now, the old has observed and losing, and it's time to redefine. Now, so ask yourself, who do I need to become to live the life that I want? How does that person think, act, and decide daily? Now, you have to write this out and visualize it vividly. Okay, I'm not talking about sitting down, because if you do all the visualization and you still don't act, it's going to be a mess. So you can even skip visualization. All you need to really do is to write it out and be clear. Name that version of you and give it a form. Then start behaving as that person because you feel ready. This is where most people get stuck, waiting for confidence before taking action. But identity is built through action, not before it. Every decision must align with your new self. And when you do that, it's going to strengthen it. So it's like the famous saying that faith without work is dead. If you have the faith and you're working on it, the combination is what gives you the result. Now, the fourth thing you need to do is the embodiment, which is living the new story. This is the bridge between philosophy and execution. You embody the next identity through repetition, discipline, and emotional regulation. Every morning, remind yourself who you are becoming. Every evening, audit how closely you lived that identity. Not with shame, but with awareness. Execution is the proof of belief. Execution is the proof of belief. As the Bible puts it, faith without work is dead. Without consistent action, even the best mindset is self-deception. The goal isn't perfection, okay? It is persistence. You are not trying to arrive, you are learning to evolve emotion. Now, the fifth thing that I want to talk about here is integration, emerging growth with reality, okay? Eventually, your new habits, your new behavior, let me say it that way, is going to stop feeling like effort and start feeling like instinct. You've integrated the new story into your nervous system, and you no longer try, as in quotes, you no longer try to be that person. You are now that person. And when that happens, you will notice something powerful. And what do you notice? The things that once felt out of reach begins to feel normal. Because the version of you who couldn't handle them no longer exists, okay? That is the essence of reinvention. Not chasing a new life, but becoming the person who naturally attracts it, okay? Let's try to wrap it up here, okay? Every person you admire once stood where you are. In that tension between who you were and who you could be, they didn't have more talent or more time, more clarity. They simply decided that staying the same was no longer an option. That's the moment you meet the edge, okay? It's not a place, it's not a goal. It's a frequency, I would say. A place between the old self you've outgrown and a new one waiting for your courage. And here's the paradox. The edge will always feel uncomfortable because that's where growth demands proof. And you can't fake execution. You either act or you don't. Okay? You either rise or you retreat. Most people live their entire life circling that edge. That's that time of their life. No, they are learning, they are planning, they are talking about change, but never stepping over to it. They don't. It's a very vital time in your life. Not because they can't, but because they won't. Because crossing over means they can't go back. But we're not built to hover in potential, okay? You are not built to think about the potential that you have and be wailing over all the potentials that you have. You were built to become. Every journal entry, every 5 a.m. alarm, every uncomfortable truth you face, these are not random acts of discipline. They are declaration. It's like you're saying, I will not die with my potential intact. That's the execution edge. It's not about working hard. It's about living sharper. It's about aligning your thoughts, your action, your emotion into one singular force, a focused self. To live on the edge is to embrace evolution as a way of life, to stop waiting for clarity and start creating it through motion, to measure your growth not by how much you know but how much you do, because clarity comes from execution. Okay, confidence comes from repetition, and mastery comes from the willingness to begin again every day with precision and purpose. You already have the potential. All you need to do is to build the system, sharpen your mind, execute the intention. And when it feels like you've reached your limit, just remember that that's not the end. That's the edge calling you to the next evolution. So at this point, I would say welcome to the execution edge. If this is your first time, hit the like button. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow. If you're on YouTube, please like, comment, and share. And that's it for this video. Bye. See you next time.